Power yellow highest is an interesting indicator. It often runs at the highest on the power chart, runs as the highest line or the lowest line. However, and I used to think there were combinations that you could connect it with, but I'm going to share with you the ideas behind the power yellow indicator. And I'm going to switch over to the charts right now, and I'll show you some situations. In this example here, we have over here by this green indicator, we have the power yellow as the highest indicator line on the power chart. Along with that, we have zip yellow as highest. And this is the idea that I had briefly alluded to a few minutes ago, in that I thought if the power yellow and the zip yellow were on the peak, that it would affect and have something to do with, how the trend was moving. It turns out that it really has nothing to do with any of that. The power yellow runs in the middle, the power yellow runs on top, it runs on the bottom. What really controls your positional cycle, or in other words, the location of your line, either above or below zero, is really the power red. The power red has your indicator, or excuse me, is the best position cycle indicator in the system. When it is above zero, you're pretty much in an uptrend. When it is below zero, you're in a downtrend. And obviously, if it's way down and you got 5 lines going up and it's still under zero, you've been moving up in an uptrend somewhat, But I want to point out that the green vertical lines on this chart are where the power red has crossed over zero. The red vertical lines are where the power red has crossed under zero. And not to make this a power red video, but I do need to make that comparison so that you can see what the power yellow indicator is about. I do have videos on the power red indicator line that you can go to as well, but you'll pick up a fair amount of information here because of what I'll be telling you. And so on this chart, when the power red is above zero, like after this green line, you have an uptrend. And when this red vertical line right here is actually the day it crossed below the zero, and you can see that nice red candle. This green vertical line is when the power red crossed over the zero, and you got a nice green candle. And now you got one over here that is a doji, and this hardly ever happens. But if you haven't noticed, for some reason this particular stock, it's EOG, and what happens is when it hits the green line is your 20 moving average, and when it hits the moving average, I mean, look over here, you got 2 dojis. Over here you got a fight that's going on. So there's a definite battle when it comes to crossing the 20 moving average in this particular stock. And I think that's what happened right here, because we ended up with a doji when it went down, but then even the next day it gapped down and then went up before it crossed over and before it crossed under the 20 moving average. So that's kind of what I think that particular situation is about. Otherwise, when the power red crosses the 0 line, you get a nice candle. And that's why if you go to the scan and search by that method, you can run into some nice trades. The other, in a continuation here, I've switched over to Microsoft. I'm in November of last year, 2015, and again we've had a nice power pink peak, and in fact we have a really big gap up that resulted in that power peak. And then the yellow line has right over at this point right here where the red vertical line is, the yellow line has now become the highest line on the power chart. And I used to think, as I mentioned earlier, that there was something that would, because I look at this area up in here, and it's basically a consolidation time. But I thought, well, if the yellow becomes highest, then I'm going to enter a consolidation period, or it's going to drop very slowly. Well, actually, it has nothing to do with that. What it completely has to do with is your power red line. It's not until the power red gets right over to here, it's real close, it's 0.53. Next day it'll cross under the 0 line where that vertical red line is right now. So again, it's that power red aspect of the crossover that is what alludes or has to do with the price trend change. I'm in Netflix right now in this example here, and I'm in September of 2015. And again, I'm looking at these two areas right in here where I have the power yellow is the highest. It's on where this green vertical line is and right where this red vertical line is. Again, I have the zip yellow running high. It's not highest all the time, but it does run high with the power yellow. And in this case, the power green and orange are above 0, and mostly the green is running above the orange. So it's a typical tendency for an uptrend. You do have, I'm going to draw a little thing here. You do have this area right here that in this particular case you have a small downtrend, and the trouble with when you have a high pink, a power pink area, that's definitely your peak, and everything after that falls. But when this yellow kicked out, I thought, well, it's that consolidation issue, but I wasn't, and this was years ago, but when I was thinking about these ideas. But in this case here, we get over to the end of this elliptical area in here, and we've got power red that is now below, and in fact the power red has crossed the vertical or the 0 line right where I put that vertical red line. And at this point, I mean, if I extend this out, it's a decent drop. I mean, you've got a high on this red candle over here of 117.88, and down here on this final green candle, it closes inside the elliptical circle. It closes at 107. So from one, 18 or 17 to that 107. You got a $10 drop in about as many days. So it's a decent drop. Your power yellow was highest, but again, it's affected by the power red, not the power yellow. If you look at this area over here, where we have the yellow highest again, it's bouncing around. This red line right here indicates the first day that the power red drops below the 0 line. And if you looked at this day, you've got the yellow is up, down, up, down, up, down. Right in here, you really can't tell for sure what's going to happen the next day, because you up in here in the zip chart, you have zip green at 100 for the second day. Really, I guess you can tell because the pink has dropped way down below. So it's a case of reading being able to read the indicators too well. But in any case, I'm just trying to make the case for the effectiveness of power red, because power yellow really has nothing to do with anything. It can be running high, it can be running in the middle, it can be running low. Because it runs high and low, I thought originally for a long time, years ago, that it had something to do with something, but it really doesn't. Its effectiveness is there as a result of your setups and your signals, like up here when you have your pink-green peak, when the gray, the red, pink, the yellow, and the blue are all dropping and you're still at zip green 100, you know it's going down from there. And in this case here, it took a significant drop. It looks like it went from about 125 down to about 90 or 88 or something. So that was a huge drop for 5 days. But the last one I want to show you is this one here. And again, the power yellow, like right in this area here, the power yellow is the lowest indicator line on the chart. Over here, it's the highest indicator line. But again, I share this with you because what the red line indicates the first day that the excuse me, that the power red is under 0. The green line indicates the first day that the power red is above 0. However, and I forgot to point this out on the previous videos, the yellow line indicates when the red line crosses, the yellow vertical line indicates when the red line crosses the yellow line. Now, obviously it doesn't cross all the time, but in this yellow line shows you the first green candle after about a dozen red ones, which makes this very interesting. Again, over here, this is the first day that the red line has crossed over the yellow line, and you have the first green candle of an uptrend. And I'm going to go back and show you one other one, and that's right here. In this case here, the red line has crossed over the yellow line, and the next day, which is this great big green candle, you start an uptrend. So there's definitely a key element to when the power red crosses the power yellow line. So hated to bust your bubble on the effectiveness of power yellow if you thought there was something to it. It's an excellent indicator for crossovers and for divergence activity and a few other things, but not necessarily as a high or a low deep cycle indicator, if you will. The deep cycle indicators are your pink, your power pink and your blue, and of course your swing gray.